Chair Lee, we're ready when you are.
Thank you. I will now call the July 15th, 2026 Planning Commission meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Gregory,
Here.
Commissioner McPhail,
Here.
Vice Chair Mead,
Here.
Chair Lee.
Present. We now move to the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand as you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Agenda finalization. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Chair Lee, I believe we do have some changes, if you'd like to discuss that.
Yes. Item 2 on our agenda, non-public hearing items. There are two parts, A, election of chair, and B, election of vice chair. We'll be taking those in the reverse order. So the first item under item 2 will be the election of the vice chair, and then we'll move to the election of the chair. Could I have a staff introduction for item 2?
And Chair Lee, before we move there, let's go ahead and ask for public comments.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And I'll go ahead and read the statement of participation.
Good. Thank you.
This is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are not appearing on the agenda. Because of restrictions contained in California law, the Commission may not discuss or act on items that are not on the agenda, but may briefly respond to statements made or ask a question for clarification. The Chair may also request a brief response from staff to questions raised during public comment, or may request that a matter be agendized for a future meeting. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. Again, this is on items that are not appearing on the agenda. I did not receive any request to speak forms. Is there anybody that would like to comment on something not on the agenda? And I see none, Chair.
Okay, thank you. In that case, we can move to non-public hearing items, but we will ask if there are any comments on this item, the election of chair and vice chair, before we move to that.
And I see none, Chair.
Very good. So we're now at item 2B on our agenda, election of vice chair. Do we have any questions from the Commission about the process? Do we have a nomination for vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Commissioner McPhail.
Thank you. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Chair Mead and a second by Commissioner Gregory to nominate Commissioner McPhail as vice chair. Please vote.
It's weird to vote for yourself.
Yes, it is.
And motion carries. All ayes. Congratulations, Vice Chair McPhail.
Thank you. Moving on to item 2A, the election of the chair. Again, any comments or questions from the Commission? In which case, do I have a nomination for chair? I would like to nominate now Commissioner Mead, having just been demoted.
That's true.
Any second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion by Chair Lee at the moment and seconded by Vice Chair McPhail to nominate Commissioner Mead as chair of the commission. Oops, 1 second, please vote. And motion carries, all ayes. Congratulations, Chair Mead.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lee, if you would pass the script. Thank
It's
you.
passed.
Okay, so moving on to public hearing items. Item 3A, conditional use permit 250008, proposing the construction of a 31,635 square foot AutoZone Mega Hub auto parts store with site improvements including new parking, landscaping, sidewalks, and stormwater retention on a vacant pad in the existing Canyon Plaza North Shopping Center. Can we get the staff report, please?
So we'll have a remote staff report this evening.
Dom, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Good evening, Chair Mead and Vice Chair McPhail. My name is Dom Camps, Associate Planner, and this evening I will be presenting conditional use permit number 250008 for your consideration. This application was submitted on July 31st of 2025. It proposes the construction of an approximately 31,600 square foot auto parts store, AutoZone Mega Hub auto parts store, on a vacant building pad in the Canyon Plaza North Shopping Center. This building pad is located immediately west of Target and east of Boomers, as well as south of Jones Road. The project site is outlined in this slide in yellow, and it makes up an approximately 1.8 acre portion of the larger parcel, which is outlined here in green. The project site, as well as the surrounding lands to the south, east, and west, are designated on the general plan land use map as general commercial, and they are zoned as planned community commercial, or PCC. The lands on the north side of Jones Road are both zoned and designated as resort residential. On July 17th of 2026, the architecture and landscaping associated with this conditional use permit application were presented to the Architectural Review Committee for review, and the committee unanimously recommended this project for Planning Commission consideration or approval. The committee did have some comments and suggestions on the site plan, the elevations, and the landscape plan, which I'll get to later in this presentation as I get to the appropriate slide. But I did want to note that these comments were not, or rather the Architectural Review Committee's recommendation of the project was not contingent on these comments being incorporated into the plans, but they are something for the Planning Commission to consider in their approval or decision for the project. So the primary use being proposed for this project is a retail auto parts store. The proposed Mega Hub would operate much like a standard AutoZone auto parts store, but with a larger in-store inventory. So of the approximately 31,600 square foot building footprint, approximately 8,000 square feet would be retail space that's available for the general public to walk into, and approximately 22,500 square feet would be inventory storage and assisted sales. So customers would need the sales associate to access those items for them. The store would serve the general public as well as commercial customers. And according to the applicant, approximately 65% of sales would be directly to the end user. So again, members of the general public who need parts for their car. And approximately 35% of sales would be to commercial customers. The commercial customers are expected to be comprised of local auto repair shops as well as local car dealerships, particularly those within a 10 to 15 minute drive time from the project site. The store will offer deliveries to those commercial customers, which would be made using light duty passenger vehicles during regular business hours. The applicant has also been quite clear that the proposed AutoZone Mega Hub would not make deliveries to other stores. So all goods on site would be for sale, and whether that's directly to the end user or to those commercial customers. Based on the operational information that was provided with this project application, and particularly the fact that the majority of sales would be directly to the end user, staff determined that retail is the primary use for the proposed project. Retail uses are defined in the zoning ordinance as any business that sells new goods directly to the ultimate consumer from a permanent structure. And more specifically, the proposed use would be classified as an auto parts store greater than 2,000 square feet. As I mentioned earlier, the project site is located in the PCC, or Planned Community Commercial District. The PCC district provides for retail and service commercial uses of a relatively high intensity, including any permitted use in the PLC or Planned Limited Commercial District. The PLC district is intended for a lower intensity of commercial uses than the PCC district. And the PLC district permits auto parts stores not exceeding 2,000 square feet, and it conditionally permits auto parts stores that exceed 2,000 square feet. So on this basis, and based on the city's previous approvals for auto parts stores that exceed 2,000 square feet in the PCC district, staff determined that a conditional use permit was the most appropriate procedure to review the proposed project. So now to zoom out a bit, this aerial view shows the current site conditions. The project site is a graded dirt pad. There is an existing ficus hedge on the north side of the project frontage along Jones Road, which helps screen the site from the entrance to the District East community. And here is the proposed site plan. According to a parking analysis that was previously done for the shopping center, the subject building pad was contemplated for a building footprint of up to 50,000 square feet. And the proposed 31,600 square foot building would fit within that footprint. On that basis, and in accordance with the city's parking standard for shopping centers, there is enough existing parking within the shopping center to accommodate the proposed use. Nonetheless, the applicant is proposing to construct an additional 23 parking spaces along the south and east sides of the building. So they would ultimately provide more than the required parking. A new pedestrian walkway is also proposed along the south and east building frontages, as well as along the west of the project site to provide access to Jones Road, where a new ADA ramp will be constructed. A retention basin will be constructed on the north side of the building within the proposed landscape area. A trash enclosure is proposed and would be built to city standard. And 2 loading stalls are proposed in proximity to the delivery door, which is located on the northeast corner of the building. This loading area is where inventory deliveries to the store would be made. I'll note that while the delivery truck is anticipated to access the site via Jones Road, the store only anticipates having 1 delivery made per day, and that delivery would take place during regular business hours. I'd also like to mention that one of the suggestions that was made during the Architectural Review Committee meeting was to potentially add a pedestrian crossing from the southeast corner of the building to the adjacent pedestrian walkway in front of Target. This would require some revisions to the site plan, and notably in that landscape island, there's currently 2 shade trees proposed as well as some drainage outlets. But if it is something that the Planning Commission wanted to see incorporated, it could potentially be done during plan check. So here are the proposed elevations. This is specifically the front elevation and the east elevation. The proposed architecture will be a contemporary commercial style. It features a large glazed storefront with an awning, flat roof lines with some articulation in height, as well as variation in color and material to break up the facade. So the color palette, as you can see, is comprised of warm neutrals, including off-white, clay, and brown. And a stone veneer accent is proposed in a band along the bottom of the elevations. The proposed building will be a maximum height of 26 feet and 2 inches, which is well within the maximum of 36 feet that is allowed in the PCC district. The architecture also includes a parapet wall, which will screen any roof-mounted equipment from public view. Again, one of the comments that was raised during the Architectural Review Committee meeting was to increase the width of the brown band that runs horizontally through the middle of the elevations, and also to increase the width of the stone veneer band. The purpose of this change would be to better balance the mass of the building, and also to ensure that the stone veneer band is not hidden by parked cars. So again, if this is something that the Planning Commission is in support of and wants to see integrated into the plans, then it could be incorporated into the Planning Commission's resolution, and the change could be made during plan check. Here is the preliminary landscape plan. As shown earlier in this presentation, there is the existing ficus hedge along the Jones Road frontage. This hedge will be maintained as part of the project, and as a condition of approval, the applicant will be required to replant it because it's currently planted in submerged 5-gallon pots. And the applicant will also be required to connect the irrigation for the hedge to the project's irrigation because it's currently connected to the irrigation for the District East across the street. The project also proposes to plant new trees and shrubs in the landscape area on the northwest side of the project site, as well as 9 shade trees in the parking areas on the south and east of the building. These shade trees do provide enough shade to meet the city's 50% shade standard. However, I will note that regarding these shade trees, one of the comments from the Architectural Review Committee was to consider planting them in 36-inch boxes instead of the 24-inch boxes that are currently proposed. Moving on to environmental review, the proposed project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to the Class 32 categorical exemption. This exemption applies to infill development projects that meet the 5 conditions that are provided in Section 15332 of the CEQA guidelines. Those conditions are consistency with the general plan and zoning designations, location on a site of less than 5 acres and surrounded by urban uses, that the site has no value as habitat for protected species, that the project would have no significant impacts relating to traffic, noise, air quality, or water quality, and that the site can be adequately served by the required utilities and public services. Along with the project submittal, the applicant provided a Class 32 categorical exemption report, which demonstrates that the project does meet all 5 of those criteria. The report was substantiated with technical studies, which were provided as appendices, and both that report and the technical studies were provided with the staff report. So the technical studies, as I mentioned, they include the traffic impact analysis, the noise analysis, air quality and GHG analysis, a biological resources assessment, and a cultural resources assessment. So again, the project was found to comply with all the criteria for the Class 32 exemption, and therefore no further environmental review is necessary. That being said, some concerns about traffic and noise did come up in the public comment letters, so I did want to address some of the findings from those particular technical studies before we move on. So in terms of the traffic impact analysis, the project was found to have no significant impacts related to traffic. According to the modeling that was done for the report, approximately 85% of vehicle trips to and from the project site would access the site through the shopping center from East Palm Canyon. So only approximately 15% of vehicle trips going to and from the site would take access via Jones Road. The report also estimated that during the peak hour of traffic, that would look like approximately 13 vehicle trips within the hour on Jones Road. The report did not find that any intersection improvements would be necessary overall. That being said, the project will be required to make fair share contributions to the future traffic signal at Cree Road and East Palm Canyon. In terms of the noise analysis that was done, again, no significant impacts found. But I did want to note that when analyzing the operational noise that would be generated by the project, the study found that the project would not exceed the city's noise standard, including for receivers that were modeled at the nearest residential property line. And in terms of public notification and comments, this project was noticed in accordance with the public notification requirements set forth in the municipal code. The project was not required to hold a community meeting because the application was submitted and deemed complete prior to the amendment to our public notification requirements taking effect. That being said, in response to some concerns that were expressed by members of the District East, the applicant did opt to hold a community meeting, and that was held on June 3rd of this year. The summary of the meeting was provided as an attachment to the staff report. Since that community meeting, several comment letters were submitted by residents of the District East. Again, those were all provided as an attachment to the staff report, with the exception of one letter which came after the staff report went out. However, that letter was emailed to the Planning Commission, and I believe hard copies of the letter should be available at the meeting today. The primary concerns that were raised in the public comment letters included concerns about traffic generated by the project impacting Jones Road, as well as other surrounding residential streets such as Cree Road and Carey Road. Concerns about parking, both in terms of the availability of parking within the shopping center, as well as concerns about on-street parking on Jones Road. Concerns about pedestrian access within the site. Concerns about noise impacts to the nearby residential properties. And finally, concerns about the classification of the proposed use as retail. So those topics were all addressed both in the staff report and in my presentation, but if the Planning Commission has further questions, I'd be happy to answer them at the end of the presentation. In terms of conditions of approval, there were 3 minor modifications, really just revisions that staff are recommending. So the first one is related to condition 3.17. It should say that the operating hours would be 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday. In terms of condition 4.35I, when referring to the construction of the ADA ramp, it should refer to the northwest corner of the project site, not the northeast corner. And finally, staff recommend deleting condition 6.8. It references a parcel map, which is not part of the proposed project. And that concludes my presentation. Staff recommend that the Planning Commission find the project exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act in accordance with the Class 32 categorical exemption, and approve conditional use permit 250008 for the proposed AutoZone Mega Hub, subject to the attached conditions of approval as amended in this presentation, and based on the findings contained in the staff report. Thank you. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I believe the applicant is also present to answer questions.
Thank you for the staff report. We will move into commissioner questions for staff. So just a reminder, these are questions for staff, and we will get to questions for the applicant during public comment. So I'd like to do things a little bit differently and do more of a round robin rather than one person doing all their questions. We'll kind of go through and bounce around a little bit. So if we could start with Commissioner McPhail.
Okay. Thanks, Dom, for another very thorough report, as you always do. You anticipated quite a few of my, and I think the community's questions as well, but I think we probably need to tease out one or two of the statements that were made, just so we're all in the same book. Let's see, my first question I think will really be the theme of this evening, which is in the report, the preliminary review section of the report, this is defined as a retail store new. And does that definition as a retail store allow a significant portion of the square footage and the sales to be something that's not retail? Is this a correct definition for this use, I guess is my basic first question.
Yeah, so the current development code is not specific on exactly what basis staff uses to make that determination. So it could be based on things like the proportion of sales revenue. It could be based on square footage. It could be based on the proportion of vehicle trips for different purposes. Staff will usually, look at all aspects that we have about the operational information and determine what makes the most sense in a particular case. And in this situation, while yes, there is a significant area that will be storing products, those products will all be for sale on site. And based on the fact that the majority of sales will be directly to that end consumer, staff determined that that ultimately was the best fit for the proposed use.
Yeah, the report mentions the 35% versus 65% sales. In terms of the square footage, it's something like 71%, I think, is the warehouse component versus 26 or something percent. So there's, I think both those factors have to be considered. Just a
Wait,
Jen,
hold on.
you want to go on? Sorry,
We're going to
yes.
round robin it. Commissioner Gregory.
Hello. I did have a follow-up question about the hedges along near the north, near Jones Street, between the proposed project and the street. You had stated that the hedges that are currently there are going to have to be removed. What exactly are they just putting them out of the buckets, putting them back into the ground, or how are they maintaining it? What actually has to go back there? What is the applicant doing with that?
So that certainly is staff's understanding, kind of what you described, which is that currently they are planted in these 5-gallon buckets, essentially, that are submerged in the earth. And in order for the hedge to be, to continue growing, it's recommended that it be planted properly in the soil. And from there, in general, it will be the applicant's responsibility to continue to maintain that hedge, both in terms of watering it and making sure it's properly trimmed. I don't necessarily have more details on exactly what the maintenance regime would look like, but those are the general expectations that staff have outlined in the conditions of approval. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lee.
Yes, so in the staff report, you mentioned that the applicant would provide an exhibit on delivery. Is that actually going to be presented tonight? And are you presenting that, or are they presenting that? In particular, relevant to how tractor trailers access the property, and also, we talked earlier, but also how does that compare with the way that Target is served by their tractor trailers?
Sure, and thank you for bringing that up. I'm just going to stop sharing because I did receive that exhibit somewhat recently, but I do have it at the back of my slide deck. So allow me to just pull that up, and then I can answer your questions from there. Okay, thank you for bearing with me, and I'm sorry this isn't full screen. Can you see the exhibit?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the exhibit that the applicant provided. What it essentially demonstrates is that the delivery vehicles, and again, this is for delivering inventory to the store, they're expected to access the site coming in from Jones Road, where they would pull into those designated loading spaces. Based on my understanding, they might use the side of the store, sort of the drive aisle between Target and AutoZone, as space to back out as they leave the property again via Jones Road. You had mentioned questions about Target's delivery, and Target is not the applicant, so I unfortunately don't have specific operational information from them, but the applicant did say it was their understanding that Target's delivery vehicles access the site from the east, through the shopping center from the east side of the building. And so it's our understanding that Target's delivery vehicles do not take access via Jones Road. Yeah, do you have follow-up questions on that?
No, that was really what I wanted to know, is whether they're also using Jones Road. But,
Okay.
Okay, I had a question about conditions of approval 4.33, which is the traffic improvements. So I noticed in their traffic study, they did notice the poor level of service at one of the exits from the shopping plaza to Palm Canyon Drive, and it is noted in the conditions of approval that they're going to be paying a portion of the cost for improvements there. And so my question was, who pays for the remainder of that? Is that I think this may be a question for John Corella.
Yes, they're going to make, in the traffic study, there was a apportionate share of what their effect is on the intersections in the area. The Cree East Palm Canyon traffic signal is part of a greater project the city is doing to underground lines and widen that portion of East Palm Canyon from basically near their main entrance of the shopping plaza there at Canyon Plaza, all the way to the city limits going west. So Cree intersection will be improved, and in the traffic study, it provided a 13% proportionate share of that intersection, and they're going to contribute to that traffic signal there, which will greatly enhance traffic flow in that area as a greater part of that.
Okay, I guess ultimately my question though is that a project that's already being planned and they're just going to contribute to it, or do we have to wait for someone
project's
else to
going out-
also contribute?
That project's going out to bid. This has been 2 years
Okay.
under the works because it's part of an underground project. That project's going out to bid in August
Okay,
next
great.
month.
Thank you. That answered my question. Commissioner McPhail?
August. Okay. I'll go to the public notification section, and I want to commend the applicant for holding the meeting with the public, even though it wasn't strictly necessary under our notification rules. And I really appreciate the staff itemizing in the report 12 of the suggestions that came out from the community. And I just wanted to ask about a few of those suggestions, one being, I think it was A in the report, which talks about, and it also mentions condition of approval 4.37, and it talks about traffic mitigation and active passage, which I think might be passive signage. Are we talking about stop signs there? Because I think I saw in the CEQA section something about stop signs. Is the idea that we're going to be putting stop signs in? I think that was referring to on Jones Road.
So you mentioned condition 4.37.
3-7.
Okay. Okay, so there's a number of on-site and off-site traffic issues we're going to mitigate. And once we get the once they get through the entitlement process, these plans get submitted. We have them reviewed by ourselves and our on-call traffic engineer. There are a lot of parking lot controls that we will be applying, and we've heard what people said about pedestrian movement. There will be on-site stop signs. There will be on-site stop bars. Not necessarily painted paths of travel, but there will be areas where crosswalks And I think they've already addressed that one issue of having kind of a direct access to Target. And this covers basically the whole perimeter. They're going to be improving the pedestrian and the vehicular flow around the whole area.
The ARC also mentioned adding a crosswalk, I think.
Yes.
And are you saying that that would not be something that we would be doing? Or are we?
I think on our initial submittal for the grading plans, you already showed that crosswalk coming due east out of the shopping center through that planner, correct? Mr. Cree? Yeah.
We could always ask about this during the
Yeah,
public hearing.
But
Yeah,
I actually recall already seeing that.
okay.
Okay, I'll stop there and
Okay.
pass it round.
Commissioner Gregory?
Thank you. You had stated that, I think I'm talking to, sorry, I'm just learning people's names right now. It's Dom? Dom.
Yes.
Hi, Dom. There was a statement that you had made about how there would only be deliveries during business hours between 8 and 9 p.m., and that would be like large trucks, I imagine, potentially accessing Joni Road. And then you had stated that the vehicles that are most likely going to be making deliveries from the warehouse would be light duty. Is that correct?
Yeah, so one inventory delivery to the proposed AutoZone is what would be anticipated per day. That would be on presumably a larger semi-trailer, and that's the one that would take access from Jones Road and go to the loading spaces in the rear of the building. And that would be required to take place during business hours. In terms of the deliveries to the commercial customers, those would be made using light-duty size passenger vehicles, as you said. The route for that is not determined because it would presumably depend on where the delivery is going out to. However, that would also take place during business hours.
Okay, that was my next. Thanks.
Commissioner Lee?
Going back to the outbound deliveries from AutoZone for a minute. 317 talks about deliveries during business hours, but I'm not sure that we actually have a limit, do we, on the outbound deliveries, when they're going to be loaded, where they're going to be loaded from, whether it's from the rear of the building or from the front of the store. Do we have any further information on that? And we've lost your picture. Well, some of us have lost your picture, so I'll look over here.
Okay. You're right that the condition of approval does not address those outbound deliveries to commercial customers. My understanding, and I believe it was described this way in the staff report, is that those would take place during business hours, but the applicant might be better suited to providing specific details about sort of how they would load those passenger vehicles and other logistics.
Okay, thank you.
One last question for me. This building seems like it would be a great location for solar. I didn't see anything about solar in the plan. Is that something that was that staff considered asking for?
You're right. It was not conditioned or required. Usually, that's something that we see during the building construction plans. This project would need to comply with the state's requirements for solar. And off the top of my head, I don't know exactly what would be required in terms of solar for a commercial project of this size. But yeah, that would be addressed in the post-entitlement stage in the construction plans.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner McPhail?
Yeah, I had a similar question to Commissioner Lee regarding the outbound traffic, and we'll maybe get more of that from the applicant. Maybe the last one I'll do for staff, perhaps, is to do again with the ARC's recommendations, and we've covered the pedestrian access. They also had suggestions about the frontage of the building, which maybe the applicant can also answer. Has staff done any analysis of their recommendation for larger trees or larger boxes for the trees. Is that feasible or not feasible? Do we know that yet?
Frankly, I'm not sure that I have the expertise to know for sure whether the planter size would fit the larger box. We do have concern that it might be a tighter fit and that could result in problems. But ultimately, I would potentially defer to the landscape architect for the project on that one.
Okay, thank you.
I apologize. I have not been referring to you as a vice chair.
Whatever.
McPhail. Apologies. Commissioner Gregory?
I'm out of questions.
Okay. Commissioner Lee?
I have one or two.
Good.
Just on 312, which was about lighting, and I understand that it requires compliance with the standard lighting regulations. I just wanted to check, did we do a photometric study on that lighting? And does it comply with not, when it's on, actually impinging on the area?
Yes, and I apologize that was not included in the presentation, but a photometric study was provided with the project submittal, and it did meet the city standards in terms of showing, no glare at the property line. And so it would comply with the city's current light standards, as well as those two standards, or two requirements, A and B, that were provided in the conditions of approval.
Thank you.
Go ahead. I'm out too.
Oh, okay. I did note, as the Vice Chair noted, that it's great we had the reaction to a lot of those comments from the residents. There was one I wanted to know, has staff been able to consider, have they taken legal advice on a couple of residents that suggested that this type of use is inconsistent with the 2040 general plan?
Yeah, this is not, so in terms of the general plan, consistency with the general plan, the project site's located in the general commercial land use designation. And if I can just pull that up. So that land use designation is intended to provide for commercial centers, both strip commercial centers and regional scale centers. And so just by virtue of being a vacant building pad within this existing shopping center, it's generally aligned with the purpose and intent for that land use designation. That designation in general, it allows for larger scale and larger intensity commercial uses. Even I think in the general plan, it talks about larger commercial centers that serve the larger regional market, which is not necessarily the intent for this store, but I just wanted to underline that, the general commercial designation is thinking about commercial in a fairly broad way. I think in the findings in the staff report, a few specific land use policies were also highlighted. So those were things that talked about locating commercial along the city's main commercial corridors. So the project does primarily take access from East Palm Canyon. And also talks about providing, commercial uses that generally benefit the community, which this project is also aligned with that. Did you have other specific questions about consistency with the general plan?
No, that's fine. But then to follow up on what you said earlier, so the information from the applicant was that the division between the two uses, retail and distribution, that's 35-65, I think you said. So they're expecting 65% of the business through the front door?
Yeah, and I would also clarify that, in staff's analysis of the proposed use, I'm not sure that the deliveries to those auto repair shops, that we would even necessarily look at that as being distribution use. The project's not making deliveries to other auto parts stores, and it's not delivering to other AutoZone stores. So all products that are on site are for sale, and So even if some of that area, the inventory must be accessed by AutoZone personnel, it's sort of, in our analysis of the use, was not regarded as either being a warehouse or distribution per se.
So how would we classify that service? Is it going to be like Amazon Prime? Is this you call up, you order a part, and it's delivered to you?
Perhaps, I guess I would add two things. One is, in staff's discussion, we did think about the fact that retail in general is sort of becoming, it's evolving as consumer behaviors change. So there are many, brick and mortar retail stores that now provide additional services, such as picking up an Amazon purchase at a Whole Foods, for example, or perhaps Target makes deliveries to customers, things like that. So while in both of those instances, the primary use is certainly retail, that there are these sort of ancillary services that are provided. I would also add as additional context, during that preliminary review, which was this earlier application, staff did examine other potential uses that the AutoZone could align with, and one such use was a commercial hub. The commercial hub is a use, the Amazon that's located on Date Palm Drive, that use is considered a commercial hub. And I believe in 2020 or thereabouts, a similar use determination was approved by the Planning Commission, determining that commercial hubs would be allowed in the PCC district. I think the similar use, it found that commercial hubs operated similar to a post office, which is a use that's permitted in the PCC district with a conditional use permit. So that was the other use that we looked at for this project, but upon having more discussions with the applicant about the proposed operations, we came to the conclusion that ultimately it's much more of a retail use.
Okay. I think I probably need to talk to the applicant more about exactly how orders are placed and delivered. The staff report mentions that they will not have any set routes for delivery. Is that correct? And they won't be going to AutoZone stores?
Correct. So my understanding is that if a nearby auto repair shop needs a specific part to complete a repair on a car, that they could make that order with AutoZone and it would be delivered. So I guess the intent there is that when your car is being repaired, that instead of longer waits for specific parts to come in, that as a result of this AutoZone, the parts would be more readily available and the repair could be completed more quickly.
Okay. Let me move to 319. I think this is my last point for you. And that was just to clarify. So it says here that the customers will not be able to service their cars or repair their cars on the premises or at the parking lot, yeah? Does that also apply to any services AutoZone might otherwise offer? I know some auto stores offer replacing windshield wipers or replacing a battery. Are we going to see that kind of work being done outside of the store?
In our analysis of the proposed use, that was not anticipated as being part of what's being proposed today. But I agree that condition of approval does not extend to repairs conducted by AutoZone. So, if the applicant's amenable to it, it could be something that the Planning Commission adds.
Okay. All right. Let me just check.
Just while you're checking,
Yes.
There was in the business operations narrative discussion of replacing windshield wipers and car batteries and things of that nature in the description of how they operate this business. So I did want to point that out.
So we would have work going on outside of the premises.
Yeah, it didn't specifically, I don't think it specifically said where. I'm going to have to see if I can find it, but it was in the.
There's no garage space, so there's no workshop space. So.
There you go. Customer services. Did you have anything else?
No, I was just going to say I'm glad that the applicant is going to work with Boomers and Trader Joe's to tidy up the trash. And you mentioned in the staff report actually that those things which were not related to this project but were engineering based had been referred to engineering. And so I'm assuming, actually I could ask, he's here, Director Corella, those things, will there be a way to close the loop on that for the residents that raise those issues? Those things are going to come to you.
There were a few issues specifically.
Well, that's the point. Dom has said in the staff report that she's referring some of those issues to you. So I'm just saying, are we able to close the loop? That's not to do with this application.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Actually, on the questions presented, we've addressed all of them.
Oh, okay. Good. Thank you. Thank you, Dom.
Any final
Thank you.
questions?
I have one
Vice Chair.
more maybe. Dom, would you be the person to ask a little bit about the CEQA document, and particularly the traffic impact analysis, or would that be the applicant? It's more about the technical calculation. Would that be something I should?
Well,
If it's technical, perhaps either Director Corella or the applicant would be best.
Okay. In the CEQA document, it talks about, the trips generated by this potential use. And I think on page 14, PDF page 104 of that huge document, it mentions 1,008 average daily trips, 82 to 90 vehicles an hour, and it's all done by a trip generation factor. And my impression from reading it was how those trips are calculated as a function of the square footage of the building, and then there is a particular trip generation rate that's applied to the square footage. Is that basically how those numbers are generated, those two
it's a lot more
elements?
complicated than that.
Okay, I thought I did the math and it seemed to be that, but maybe there's more to it.
So it's nothing I can teach you or tell you
Okay.
here. A lot of them are logarithmic, and what they do is, there's a manual that we all get every year. It's the IT Institute of Traffic Volumes, and it has numbers of lots of uses, and you saw those uses in there. So a traffic engineer will go in there and pull those numbers that have already been done, and it gives you the average traffic for those uses. So like it'll even have gas stations, it'll have retail stores, and stores with drive-throughs. So that's
this
where we
was
generate those numbers.
And this was a retail calculation that
Correct.
was done. So it doesn't really take into account any of the distribution traffic, such as the trips that we have yet to hear about going out to auto parts.
Yes, it does.
It does?
Because-
It's not purely retail?
Because what they're doing is not unique. It's 40 years old. I get auto parts delivered to my house if I need them. So all auto parts store deliver, period. To gas stations, to retail. Napa across the street does most of their business as a delivery with pickup trucks. So a customer like you go in there to a gas station to get your car fixed, or a Firestone or whatever. They don't carry an inventory. They call up whoever their purveyor is, say, hey, do you have this part? I need it over here. When can you get it to me? And they'll send a pickup truck over with that part. So those numbers are built into that because that's a normal function of a auto parts store.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We will now open the public hearing, and I think we'd like to hear from the applicant if they would like to answer some questions.
Good evening. I'm Diane Blaisdell, and I represent not only the applicant, but also the landlord, Grit Development, as well. We own the Canyon Plaza North, other than the Target parcel, as well as the west half of Canyon Plaza South. I'm here to answer any questions that you have. We have several AutoZone representatives here from various departments to answer your questions, as well as Octavio Fernandez of Grit Development, who is in support of the applicant as well.
Okay, would you mind staying up there? Because I think we're going to go through questions for you.
You got it.
We'll go in reverse order this time. Commissioner Lee, you want to start?
I'm sure. As you heard in the previous section, I was curious about the way that the actual deliveries are organized. We're told there are no set routes and you're not delivering to other AutoZone businesses. So how do the orders...
Better answered question by one of the representatives
Okay.
that actually deals on these issues. I'm here from a land use planning standpoint, like I was on Auto Nation before.
Yes.
So I will
We remember.
choose myself and have him
And just a reminder for all the applicant team, if you are going to address the commission, please speak into the microphone.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. My name is Andres Carvajal. I'm currently the district manager for this area. I cover all 11 stores in the Coachella Valley. So I can help answer those operational questions regarding deliveries
Yeah,
and such.
it's just not clear from the presentation so far that how, we're not calling it distribution apparently, we're calling it ordering. So how do you get the orders in? How are they processed? Where do you load up the orders? Do you deliver multiple items in one go? Because you're talking about 30 trips a day. So I really want to understand the mechanism of your process.
Okay. For our commercial deliveries to our local repair centers, automotive repair centers, dealerships, even some contractor that have fleet, we deliver. They could place the orders by phone and talk to a direct associate at our locations, or they can place orders electronically through our AutoZone Pro platform. We receive the order, we load it up through either the front door or at some of our locations, we have a rear access door that we load up, and we have our either 3 to 5 delivery vehicles, which are small passenger vehicles, and that's where we make our deliveries to with.
And you mentioned commercial, but you're also delivering to retail customers, is that correct?
We don't deliver to retail customers in this area. We don't have we call it a next day delivery. If a customer places an order through our online platform, there is an option for Uber delivery where an Uber driver can come pick up and deliver to a home location. But our team members our AutoZoners do not deliver to residential addresses.
So these are really, although they're occupying the same space, they're two separate businesses, and that one is delivery to commercial establishments and the other is retail sales direct to the customers.
Correct. We have our commercial department, which delivers to the wholesale side of the business, and we have our walk-in DIY, do-it-yourself customers that come in from the general public to our
But
store.
then everything, the 25,000 or so items that you're going to have in this premises, they're all available to be purchased over the counter in the retail component?
Correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I swear I read somewhere in one of these documents, and I'm trying to find it, that it was one of the descriptions of the business that you could potentially be delivering up to 100 miles from the store. Does that seem like
No.
something? No? Okay, maybe I'm totally wrong, so then I'm going to ask you a different question. In line with what Commissioner Lee was just asking, these delivery trucks that are going out, are they actually owned and are the trucks owned and they're employees of AutoZone, or are you contracting out to a third party for that?
No, we're AutoZone employees.
Okay. Vice Chair McPhail.
I may have missed, Commissioner Lee mentioned 30 trips a day. Was that somewhere in our documents that's the estimate of how many deliveries might be made on an average day using the small SUVs? Is that your estimate?
It varies. It varies from time of day and actually time of year.
Yeah.
It can estimate we pulled some data from our regional area. Deliveries can be from 25 to 50 deliveries a day, but we also bundle them up, and the drivers do make deliveries to multiple locations in one go.
Because it looked like I think, am I right, that the nearest mega hub to us at the moment is Pomona? Was that right?
No,
when I
sir.
Googled around, there's another
No,
mega
sir,
hub.
we have a mega hub in Moreno Valley. That's our closest
Moreno
one.
Valley.
And Rialto, California.
And so you would have some data from there to suggest roughly
Correct.
daily deliveries and things like that. So there could be 25 to 50 SUVs coming in and out of the shopping center. And the proposal, I think we saw the new exhibit that we couldn't quite make out perfectly. I think we saw that the inbound trips were going to be coming in, this is correct, via Cree Road and Jones Roads. They'd be coming, for example, off the East Palm Canyon, Cree Road, Jones Road into the back of your property.
I think that was regarding to our delivery from our tractor
The
trailer
big one, okay.
from our distribution center in Ontario.
All right.
And that will be arriving once a day, 5 times a week, probably more than likely what we have currently scheduled in our area with a window between 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we try to get unloaded and loaded within 30 minutes.
Okay. So for the small SUVs, they wouldn't be taking that route. They'd be coming out via the Target onto East Palm Canyon?
So we currently use what we call it a navigation system where it tells the driver directly what routes to take. So it can technically take them through the best optimal route, and it could be through the front of the entrance of the parking lot onto Palm Canyon or through Jones, or it will direct, depending on which direction the customer orders are going to.
Yeah, there's really only one light in the shopping center at the moment. And I think the proposal is that another one will be put in. But at the moment, the main exit entrance into the shopping center is one light. And we're talking about 30 to 50 new trips a day, many of which are probably going to go out at that light to get left or right onto East Palm Canyon. And although the traffic study talked a lot about, it doesn't seem to generate any new needs, I don't feel it didn't really take into account the current level of congestion, although it does say it is already congested. And when you go one block into the shopping center as it is, you can get just like 4 cars between the traffic light and the first intersection in the shopping center, and that regularly gets blocked as is. And if we're having 30 to 50 more trips a day, I am concerned about the congestion we're going to see at that light, but that's just a comment I want to make right now.
Okay, Commissioner Gregory?
Howdy. I wanted to touch a little bit on what Commissioner Lee had said about what services you'll offer at the curb as far as windshield wipers, batteries. Could you take me through what you guys offer outside of the store?
Absolutely. So at all our locations, we offer, AutoZone stores, we offer our gotcha, which is we go out to the customer's vehicle. We do battery testing, starting system testing, charging testing, also help replace batteries on most vehicles. We help replace wipers on most vehicles. We don't do any oil changes or anything like that. Something that could be completed within about 5 to 10 minute window. That's what we definitely support our customers that visit us that do need the support for installation with that.
So nothing that could potentially impact the environment, like you said, no oil changes or anything like that. What would you say the average time per item is, and for changing a battery or any of those? You said it was maybe 10 minutes or so?
Yeah, usually depending on the vehicle, it could be a 5 to 10 minute window. If there's any, we kind of shy away from anything that has to be removed, like any cowling or any other parts to get to that battery. No, if it has to be readily accessible, and we have the proper tools that remove it, and that's on most vehicles, because some vehicles they're located in elsewhere.
Yeah. And as far as maintenance of people's own vehicles, I think it was stated that you don't allow people to work on their own vehicles, I would imagine, beyond the services that you, like windshield wipers, a battery swap, stuff like that.
That's correct. We don't allow customers to perform any of their own repairs in our parking lots.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
I just wanted to ask, because I know it's been brought up a lot, the percentage breakdown of the square footage that's going to be dedicated to inventory and kind of the commercial use versus the retail store, floor, essentially. And I believe that the last time I went to a much smaller AutoZone, Because there's thousands of parts, right? And you're not going to have every muffler that it could be used in a store. It would be near impossible. From my experience, it's kind of like wiper fluid, coolant, things like that are kind of in the front area, retail area. And then you go up to a counter, you say, this is the kind of car I have, this is the part I need. They then go in the back, retrieve the part, and bring it out to you. So I guess is that an accurate description of how most AutoZone stores work, even not the mega hubs, just generally?
Correct. So
Okay.
it's just more of an expanded parts room.
Okay.
They operate the same way as a smaller AutoZone. It's just would be more availability to say yes to our customers to get their parts quicker to get back on the road.
Okay, so I guess my question is, there is an existing AutoZone already in Cathedral City on Date Palm. Is the percentage ratio of retail consumer floor space versus warehouse similar in the smaller store as it is to the mega hub? Like where the number 71 and 29 has been, used a lot. Is it still basically a 70-30 split and it's just being scaled up, or is there a larger percentage being dedicated in the mega hub?
As overall sales volume, yes, it's.
No, I mean, in
still
terms of square footage.
Square footage, no, it's a lot smaller. So the expanded parts room is a lot of less.
Taking up
square
a bigger
footage.
percentage?
I would probably say 70-30.
Right, but I'm saying, what is the percentage breakdown in a smaller store? Is it still 70-30 or is it 50-50? I'm just wondering,
No,
is
in
it
a
just
smaller
scaled
store,
up,
it's still
or-
70-30, 70% of
okay.
the sales floor and then 30%.
That's what I was trying to understand. So the ratio is basically the same. This is just being sized up.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That answers my question. Vice Chair McPhail. Oh, wait, I was supposed to go to you, Vice Chair, Commissioner Lee first.
Whoever it is.
Sorry.
I'll
get used to it.
I'll just follow on with that same idea about the retail versus the commercial, not distribution, the commercial deliveries. And I just wanted to make sure I understand. So we've got 25,000 parts. I can go into the retail store, or a commercial organization, so not Director Corella, who gets his deliveries at home, but I don't know, a garage down the road, a shop down the road. Are they going to be essentially treated the same way? So, pricing's the same, the access is the same, so the retail customer and the commercial guy is going to get this part in the same time?
So access is the same. Either wholesale, commercial customers could actually walk in the store as well. It's going to be the same service.
Okay.
Pricing would be different for the wholesale side, for the commercial side of the business. We do give a bit of pricing discount to the wholesale side, to the installer, to the dealerships down the street, to local independent automotive repair centers, to corporate chains such as Firestones and Monroe's and Mountain Views.
And if you get a delivery request in, do you stack them and then fill a vehicle and then send them out, or do you just send it out straight away?
No, we have a 15-minute window to bundle our orders to send out multiple orders at once.
Okay.
It's very rare we send out just one item at a time. We bundle it to optimize, be efficient that way.
Okay, Vice Chair McPhail.
The services that we've been talking about, like wipers and light bulbs, batteries and so on, that would be occurring in the new parking spaces that are proposed for this project, the 23 or whatever it was, or would that be happening elsewhere in the shopping center?
It would usually happen in front of the store, right in the parking lot, parking spaces right in front.
Usually.
That's where the customer's parked at. So if the customer's parked in the parking lot, we will go out to the customer's vehicle. But we always recommend to park right in front of the storefront, so it would be easier access to the vehicle. Because we also offer like a fixed finder testing to do a check engine light scan to give you a pre-diagnostic of what, and that's what a lot of customers do see us for.
Okay, Commissioner Gregory.
I have no more questions.
Okay. I want to say, I think I had one more.
And just to want to clarify with commercial deliveries, It's not from, we don't deliver from till 10 p.m. at night. Ours operation usually from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., but our commercial delivery window is usually from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay. And order processing is done through the normal business hours, so there's nobody arriving at 6 to load up the first deliveries?
No, sir.
Okay.
Commissioner Lee, did you have any additional questions?
No, I think I'm good.
I just had one comment, which I'm sure you're aware that Cathedral City is going to be getting a new Roadrunner Motors Automotive school. And I just wanted to, since you're here, to encourage you to try to build a partnership with them if you do build this project. I think it would be a great connection.
I'm a huge fan of reaching out to the community, especially the local colleges. I actually reached out to one of the networks that travel from like 29 Palms area from Copper Mountain for any interview processes and just kind of help with the students in the community.
Great. Okay, if we have no more questions from the commission, then we will open it up to members of the public. Do we have any public comments?
Chair Mead, we do have 2 request to speak forms. The first speaker will be Kevin Gerasi.
Thank you, Chair Mead and fellow commissioners. My name is Kevin Geraci. I'm at 35429 District East Street, which is in District East community directly across Jones Road from the proposed facility. In fact, my home is 200 feet from the proposed facility. And on behalf of my neighbors, I respectfully but firmly urge this commission to deny CUP 25-0008 for a number of reasons. And I want to be clear, this is not a retail auto parts store. It is a regional distribution hub. In fact, AutoZone's own SEC filings and corporate materials describe mega hubs as mini distribution centers that deliver parts to commercial resale shops and other AutoZone stores in the area. So they'll be making regular deliveries to other AutoZones in the area that don't happen to have that particular part in stock. And that'll be done on a regular basis throughout the day. In a response we got back from Dom in our email correspondence, she said that, and I quote, "Most sales will be made directly to the ultimate consumer, that the project therefore qualifies as a retail store under the commercial code." Notice the word ultimate consumer. So that raises a fundamental question for us, and that is, how can retail sales that are operating at the 9 regional AutoZone stores that they'll be supplied and delivered on a regular basis transform this distribution center into a retail operation? We don't see it. 20% of the store is retail, 80% is wholesale distribution. And adding a storefront to a retail wholesale distribution does not change the character of it. It is still a wholesale distribution. And as we know, in the PCC zone, regional parts distribution to commercial customers is not a conditional use in the PCC zone. So as Director Corella mentioned, he orders auto parts and they're delivered to his home. That's not coming from this center. This center is supplying other auto parts, repair centers, and AutoZones themselves with parts that they need in their operation. And Cathedral City's 2040 general plan, of course, calls for commercial uses adjacent to residential neighborhoods
I just want to let you
to
know
be
30 seconds left.
compatible in character and intensity for the neighborhood. And we don't feel that a wholesale center in this area is really a compatible use for the residential nature of our neighborhood. But I guess the overriding thing, and I'll close with this, is that we basically are asking the Commission, the Planning Zone, I'm sorry, I guess that's it for me.
Your time is up, but if
Thank
you want
you.
to just finish that one sentence, you can.
Yes, I was just going to say that how is the consolidated retail consumption at all these locations they're supplying constitute a retail use for this wholesale center? We don't see that. Thank you.
The next speaker is Fred Bronson.
Hello, Vice Chair and Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for hearing us. I have certainly felt heard today in your questions based on the comments from the residents. And I don't need to say everything Kevin just did because I agree with everything he said. What I didn't hear in the presentation, I heard retail and commercial. I didn't hear the word wholesale until the gentleman from Auto Parts stepped up. And my question was going to be, are the commercial customers, and you asked us, paying the same retail prices or are they paying wholesale prices? And if they are paying wholesale prices, that is mixed use, and that is forbidden and prohibited by the municipal code. I'm not a lawyer, but that's how I see it when I read it. And we definitely do not feel anti-business. We have Target, we share with Target and Trader Joe's and Boomers, and they're all great neighbors, and everything is very compatible. I don't see this as a retail business as those three businesses. By the way, Boomers, which shares the main parking lot there, most of their customers are families with children, and we have multiple school buses parked there for, I didn't realize I guess they had to do field trips to Boomers, but there are a lot of children in that parking lot. I'm very concerned with the impact on them. Vice Chair McPhail, you mentioned that traffic light. I use that light all the time. That's our access to Palm Canyon, because at the moment Cree Road has no traffic light. And yes, it's backed up. Even in the summer when the snowbirds are gone, it is backed up. So you raised a very good point about the trucks. I would ask you, if you were voting to place this mega hub 200 feet or right across the street from where you live, how would you vote? I know how we would vote. It's incompatible, even though it's a commercial zone right across from a residential neighborhood. It will especially impact the people whose homes border on Jones Road, both in District East and the original district. So thank you for listening to us. I appreciate your interest, and I hope that you will reject this based on the fact that it's mixed use, violates the municipal code. I would hope they would go somewhere else in Cathedral City. I'm not anti-business. It'd be great to have a distribution center in a business park. And I'm down to 14 seconds, so thank you very much.
Thank you. We can't respond directly, but I just wanted to ask if the applicant wanted to address any of the concerns that came up. Is that allowed? Yes. Since we're still in the public hearing?
Thank you. My name is John Wojtyla. I work with Zaremba Group in Cleveland, Ohio, and we're assisting Dollar General in development of the store. I have Lizette Cifuentes with me, and she can, I think she wants to address some of the comments from the public. Do you know? I think just Mr. Geraci made a comment that, we will be delivering to other AutoZone stores. That's not what is going to happen at this store. Our testimony is that our written documents that we've submitted say that it's a non-routed store, meaning we do not deliver to other AutoZone stores. So it's not a distribution center. There's a lot of talk about the breakdown in the what we call the open sales area and the limited sales area, or the hard parts area, and the breakdown of that being what percentage. That doesn't correspond to commercial accounts versus DIYers. Those two are different issues. So the amount of space in the building that the customers don't go to doesn't correlate to the amount of commercial customers for the store. So I want to make sure that distinction, because it seems like that was a big issue related to that. Do you have anything else you wanted to say?
Hi, I'm Lizette Cifuentes, the real estate manager. So I think Andres kind of mentioned it already. This is not going to be a routed hub. This is going to be non-routed. So we are not delivering to any of our existing stores. So all the sales are only going to be in-house in our location, or how they're placed through the orders, calling in or online. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just to reiterate, we already confirmed that this location is not non-routed location. Our routed locations are Moreno Valley. We do have one in Indio that routes to the high desert, to Desert Hot Springs, Yucca Valley, and to 29 Palms to help support customers out there in that area for expanded parts delivery. But this location is not for other AutoZone locations.
Thank you.
Okay, any final,
Ask a question.
you want to ask a question? Yeah, go ahead.
So, sorry, you all ran away. But I did want to go back to a point that was just raised actually in one of the comments, and that is something that I'd already read. I looked at the SEC documentation, and indeed, mega hubs are defined by AutoZone as distribution centers. So I just wanted to get your view on, is this particular development inaccurately named, or is the SEC filing, am I misreading the SEC filing?
I certainly can't speak to that.
Okay.
On the SEC filing, I can't speak to that, but I can tell you there is other mega hub locations that do support the local AutoZones in the area. But this one was not that.
Okay.
Does a regular AutoZone, such as the one on Date Palm and Ramon, offer wholesale prices to wholesale customers and retail prices
All of our
that are
AutoZone
different?
All of our AutoZone location has that.
Okay.
I make it comparable to a paint store. I go to a paint store and they ask you, well, what's your account? And, well, I don't have an account. I'm not a contractor. So then I'm paying a different rate than the guy behind me that might have an account. And
Sir, if you could speak up, I'm so
I'm
sorry. Thank
So
you.
I was just making correlation with paint stores where if you go to a paint store, certain customers like me pay a regular rate, whereas a guy behind me that's a contractor might pay a different rate. And they also deliver to people as well. They deliver paint store, and paint store is still a retail use.
I had a question about the deliveries and the location. Are you aware of, like, as far as the zoning for when people order, how far out those deliveries from this proposed site, how far those deliveries could extend?
I think Dom touched on that in her presentation. It's usually about a 15-minute window drive time.
Okay.
So our goal is to get the parts to our customers' hands on the commercial side within 30 minutes.
So most, like, the Coachella Valley is the area for the most part?
Well, probably the west side of the Coachella Valley.
Gotcha.
Any final questions? Any further comments from the public?
So I only received 2 speaker slips, but I will ask, are there any other members that would like to address the commission? If you would go ahead, and we'll take turns, and we'll go ahead and give me a second to pull up.
Good evening,
the-
Commissioners. My name is Octavio Fernandez. I work for Grit Development, the owner of the property in question, Canyon Plaza North. The proposed use is consistent with the property's commercial zoning and with the city's longstanding vision for this shopping center. This is not a request to rezone the property or introduce a new commercial district. The target center was zoned, approved, and fully improved for commercial development more than 25 years ago. Grit invested millions of dollars in roads, utilities, drainage, and other infrastructure with the expectation that every commercial pad would eventually be developed. This is the last of the commercial pads. We understand and respect the concerns of the nearby residents. However, the condos and homes were built long after we had developed the property. So what I'm saying is when folks bought the property, they knew we had an existing commercial center. With regards to a lot of the concerns that were brought up by you commissioners, for example, Commissioner McPhail, the delivery services are greatly mitigate the traffic that would be coming and going. If you have if they're able to batch and make 3 or 4 deliveries at one time, that's 2 or 3 vehicles that are reduced. Another comment was I think the servicing of vehicles on the property. As the property owner or representative of the property owner and being intimately familiar with a lease document, the document specifically prohibits any kind of repairs taking place on the property. With regards to the light work that AutoZone does, that is changing wipers, diagnosing vehicles, possibly changing batteries. If you folks have ever, which I'm sure you have, taken your car to a dealership, you know how expensive that is. This is more of a community service for the folks that, they come in and they're not exactly sure what is wrong with their car. They come in, they scan it free of charge, or they took it to a repair facility and they said, this is wrong with your car, and they don't feel it's right. They come in and AutoZone could say, well, no, according to our computer scan, that's not the issue. So it's just, we respectfully request that you vote in favor of the building being proposed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if I can have the next speaker, sir. If you'd like to state your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Lenz. I'm a resident at the District East. I'm here to encourage that you say yes, because we want business coming to Cathedral City, just not where they want to go, right? We invited Amazon Distribution Center. We gave them the opportunity to come here. We want the same for these guys, just not where they want it, right? When we met with them at the library, they specifically said, and I have recorded it, that the reason they're opening a location here is because the distance from Moreno to distribute parts to their customers here, basically the dealerships, right? It took too long. So they want to be closer to the end user, for them being repair shops, dealerships, not us. Our neighborhood, we're upper class. I'm going to say it. We all have brand new cars. No one is going to use them. No one. Other people from other areas of Cathedral City will come, but they already have a location to go to. I'm not discounting their cars or who they are. I'm saying where they are proposing to open a location, they didn't think about the demographics of the consumer. We don't need them. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that wish to comment on this item?
My name is Tim Hogg. I live in District East. When I was in the men's room, I thought I heard the gentleman over here say that wholesale deliveries were going to start at 7 in the morning. But that's not what Dom said in her presentation. I thought deliveries were only going to happen during business hours. How can wholesale deliveries start at 7 in the morning? That means someone's going to arrive there before 6 to load up the truck so that they can leave at 7. That's not in business hours. So now they're open from 7 to 9 o'clock at night? 6 days a week plus Sunday? I don't know. I think you said it. So, no, I'm pointing to the gentleman. That's all I had to say. That something's not inconsistent. There's a lot of inconsistencies we're hearing today between what we're hearing from them and what is in the paperwork we found about this being a distribution center that I think we really need to do our due diligence.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that wish to speak on this item? I see no more, Chair. Oh.
Good evening. Again, I just want to say a couple of things.
Speak into the mic.
I negotiated the contract and the lease by and between AutoZone and Grit Development. I also just recently finished negotiating with Trader Joe's in order to keep them there. There are CC&Rs that exist on this property that prevent a lot of the issues that are being raised by the public and the District East. I also negotiated the contract by and between the City of Cathedral City that required the hedges to be installed by GHA that developed the District East. So there's an entire contract that exists by and between you all and District East necessitating and requiring that hedge to have been built and maintained. It is an extremely narrow strip, So there is going to have to be some work on that I can work with John on. But my comments to you are that I have thought of all these issues that have been raised. We required additional parking. Trader Joe's has made some requirements in their lease that prevent certain parking. The CC&Rs that exist for this center, because we're not the sole owner, because Target owns their pad. So there is a reciprocal easement and access agreement that prevents certain uses on this property, and it does prevent oil changes and things like that. So I just wanted you to have a little bit of comfort and confidence that we have negotiated with the majority of our landowners, or our tenants, I'm sorry, to have a very reciprocal relationship. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing, and we will now have discussion among the commission. I did want to point out that, as we discussed, there were the 3 items which were brought up by the ARC, which we should consider at some point, whether or not we want to include those in a motion if and when we get to that point. But I think we can have a fairly open discussion here, if anyone.
Chair Mead,
Yes?
if I may.
Yes?
Thank you. Mark Munzer, Director of Community and Economic Development. I think it's the first time I've said that in this room, so
Welcome.
thank you for allowing me to say that. I just wanted to clarify, because of the question that you had before, I did reach out to building safety staff, and there is a solar requirement for the building. It depends on the occupancy in the roof area, but that will happen.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you for finding that out so quickly. Does anyone want to start a discussion?
Me?
Have questions? Okay, Chair Lee?
No, I wanted to say, first of all, the considerations from ARC, I think, were all valid. And I did hear, I think Director Corella was saying that the crosswalk may already be included. But in any case, I would say that one of the things we would do is to add that as another condition, and that will clarify that point. Yeah. And when we get to it, I would propose adding a condition: a crosswalk must be provided between the AutoZone and Target properties, between the southeast corner of AutoZone and the southwest corner of Target. So that would take care of one of those. Again, on the 36-inch trees, in the absence of absent colleagues, I would say that that's a good idea if possible. So I would frame it in those terms, because from ARC, I recall that there was a discussion that there may not be room in those beds in between the parking lots for that size of tree. But if there is, the point that was being made by ARC was that a 36-inch pot, it's going to grow a lot faster and provide faster shade than a 24-inch. So, and then the other thing that I would say, and this is all assuming we go ahead, is that we should also add to the condition 317 to control the outbound deliveries as well as the incoming deliveries, to ensure that they are conditioned to occur during normal business hours. So those would be the 3 things. Now, I think the bigger point, though, that we're going to end up discussing is this issue of distribution or not. So anyway.
And an additional ARC recommendation was to do with the facade of the building. Would you be in favor of proposing that as part of our
Yeah, I mean, that was an architect who prompted that in terms of modern design. And actually, he mentioned 2 things, I believe, in my notes. One was that the stone band should be raised so that it appears over parked cars, so that it's not a lost feature to the building. And the other was that, he asked about articulations. You can't see it from those elevations, but I think the applicant said that there were articulations, and so he just said that the gray band in the middle of the building should be wider to give some emphasis to that.
So you would not want to incorporate the architectural enhancements into a condition of approval?
if we get to that point, yes. I mean, I would say that, yeah. I don't want to do them all. I mean,
Okay,
Yeah.
you mentioned a couple of them and you hadn't
yeah,
answered that one.
yeah.
That's
No,
what I was wondering.
Yeah, I
think
mean,
that's-
I think if we're considering additional conditions of approval, I think they're, the applicant has told us they are not planned, that it's a non-routed store. Is that the correct terminology? They will not be routing to other auto zones or other stores, but I think there's a valid concern that has been brought up about whether that could happen in the future, even though that's not the case now. I feel like we should, we should put a condition of approval that the store will not be used for that purpose, and that at least provides some security moving forward, that it can't change in terms of its use. That would be my thought.
I agree.
So going to the bigger question, I'm concerned that the decisions we end up with here are always defensible. I mean, we've talked about that in other presentations. And I guess I'm a little bit concerned that this definition has not been resolved through legal. I asked Dom if there'd been any consultation with legal. It is the case, I looked up the SEC filings myself, and they define mega hubs as distribution. They also say that mega hubs distribute to other stores. And those two things are not consistent with the application. So I'm not sure how we should actually resolve that issue. So there are things, if we were going to go ahead and approve, there are definitely additional conditions I would like to see. The other option is maybe, and I'm not proposing that right now, but we should discuss whether we need to table this to another date so that we can get staff to prepare a report on the legality of those definition issues.
So I think I heard Dom say, I think she's still with us maybe, that they considered the fact that the Amazon distribution center is a distribution hub for sure, and that they determined it was a similar use to something like a post office, which is allowed within this zoning. So even if, and again, I'm not a lawyer either, but it sounded like what she was saying was that even if we were to say this has an element of being a distribution hub, that it would still, under the precedent that was already set under Amazon, still fit within the zoning of this lot, unless someone from staff wishes, or legal wishes to correct me.
If I may, I can, I think, help make a couple of points. First of all, I think it bears pointing out that there's no definition of distribution hub or distribution center in the code, so it's not as if we're weighing two defined terms. Second of all, the application was made with the business plan as part of it. I believe it's attachment 15, which describes their operations as excluding any AutoZone transactions, and that's also submitted under penalty of perjury. And so even without the condition of approval that's being considered to write that in as a condition of approval, I think it's covered that that's not what's being applied for. And as far as the use determination, I do think the code could be written more clear, but I think there's been a defensible analysis put together that this is retail, it's customer and point of sale, regardless of whether that's wholesaler. There's also no wholesale definition in the code. So I think this is the definition that fits according to what the city has to work with.
Okay. Are you saying the definition of AutoZone not delivering to other autos, the mega hub not delivering to other AutoZones, is that in the detailed business description or somewhere else? Because I couldn't see it on the detailed
It's
business
attached to
description.
the staff report as detailed business description.
Oh, okay.
And I believe it's in the first paragraph.
It says who they will deliver to, but it doesn't necessarily, they will not deliver to other
Right.
stores. It just says who they intend to deliver to. So I think that is omission the same as,
I think you could come up with a condition of approval that will adequately cover the commission's
Okay.
concern.
Yeah,
I mean, one thing I did want to note, the reason I was asking the question about the ratio of sales floor to warehouse space is because I think the reason it seems like a lot is because this is a much bigger store than a typical AutoZone. But that's why I was trying to understand. It sounds like the ratio of inventory space, warehouse space to sales floor that a consumer can walk into is 70-30, regardless of the size of the AutoZone. This has just been scaled up. So my understanding, based on what we've heard and from what I've read, is it doesn't seem to me like that indicates that it's going to be more commercial other than the intensity of the commercial because of the additional parts, but not that it's more geared towards commercial. And in fact, I did a little bit of research about AutoZone just as a company and these mega hubs in general. And it's my understanding that they do offer a discount to commercial customers, but that is very common, as was brought up with paint stores, any sort of stores that deal with the trade, and maybe even Commissioner Gregory could even comment on that. I know you're a small business owner, right? So, but that because of that discount, they actually prefer to generate the majority, as many sales as they can from the retail consumer where they are making a larger markup. So that is the focus of how they're trying to move product is more on the retail side because they have a bigger profit there. So I think that's also a little bit, to me, made me feel a little bit more secure that this wasn't sort of a backdoor way of just trying to serve only commercial and wholesale customers. That's just from what I read, so.
I agree. That was really what I wanted today, is to hear, a legal argument that says that this is a defensible position reading of our code. We can't read the entire code. Our legal expert over there read the entire thing. But he can make those kinds of decisions for us, and that's very useful, I think. So the other issue about retail sales or deliveries, I don't see that as big of an issue anymore. I do think that the condition that you proposed is necessary because, I could in good faith give you a business plan today and I could sign it in blood and say, this is how I'm going to run my business. And then next year, things might change and I might need to change the conditions of my business. So we have to ensure that the conditions that are important to the community here are in the condition of approval that we create. So I think it's appropriate to add these other conditions. But having said that, I'm leaning towards approval.
I still have concerns about, I started by saying the question of tonight will be when is a retail store not a retail store? And that's really what we've been talking about tonight. I brought up a couple of times, we didn't really go into great detail, and it's a bit complicated. I don't understand all of it. The traffic study, I am concerned about the traffic study does mention that existing entrances and exits are, what was the term used, like
Level of service.
unacceptable or something. There was some
Yes.
bad word used like that already. And now we are adding, this is going to be a retail function of some sort. I mean, that's a given. But this is slightly different in that it's not just people parking in the parking lot, buying some groceries and leaving. There is a distributional component to it, which is generating traffic, which we heard might have been included in the calculations. But the reality of that site to me gives me concern as someone who uses that site quite regularly, that traffic light entrance, the only traffic light entrance they have right now, it is very poorly designed. It gets very congested. And then we're having 30 to 50 SUVs coming out That's going to add to that backup in that first block you go into that, the shopping center. And, you know, as I can understand it, if it was another retail function, I don't think it'd have a lot of problems. I think the addition of that extra traffic is a concern of mine.
What do you, I was just gonna say, what do you think about the argument that if they weren't making those deliveries, then 3 to 5
Right.
times number of
Yeah.
vehicles would be coming into the plaza, which would be more traffic?
Yeah. Well, if the store wasn't there, the traffic wouldn't be coming, and it would be a complete different
True,
model.
true.
I mean, we have it might be a smaller
That's
store if it wasn't that mega hub.
Yeah, so I agree completely on the traffic analysis. I made a note, pages 35 and 36, both mention the fact that it's at unacceptable levels.
Yeah.
The construction of on-site improvements shall occur in conjunction with adjacent project development. So this is an issue that needs to be addressed in addition to any approvals of a new business. So whatever was built there would have the same issue. It's increasing traffic to that
Although, as I said, I think
Plaza.
there's a difference if it was a Target or another Target or another Whole Foods or something, another cafe, whatever. That would be traffic of people turning up and leaving. This has an extra concentration, in my opinion, of 30 to 50 SUVs leaving on a daily basis. I think that's a bit different than a few cars turning up in the course of a day and leaving.
Yes, but I also take the point of, you know, deliveries doubling up and the fact that they're not all happening at the same time. They're going to happen throughout the day, so the load is spread. And if you look back at
Every 15 minutes, apparently,
Yeah.
if they were going to wait 50 minutes before they go.
one extra car every 15 minutes. But if you look back at the 2003 study, which I agree is hopelessly out of date in terms of our traffic volumes and so on, but it notes there's 700 and something parking spaces in there.
That was more parking than.
Yeah, I actually had a question about I mean, that parking studies from 2003, that's over 20 years ago.
Yes.
They did note that their projection, their surveys at the time of seasonal traffic, which they were basing on Target's holiday season increases, some parts of that parking lot were already, some of the sections, because they divided the parking lot up into sections, some of those sections were already at 60%, right? And that was 23 years ago. I personally think we're way overparked in this city. I don't think we have a lack of parking generally, but that being our primary Trader Joe's as well, it is very common that if you go to Trader Joe's on a weekend, that it is packed, right? The Trader Joe's parking lot, and I think you mentioned that there is a part of the CCNRs is the parking lot is kind of divided up, that the parking cannot all just be universally shared. So I think that was kind of my question about, in 23 years, how much has traffic increased? We know the area has grown. There's more people here. My guess is the seasonal traffic is going to increase along with that, and AutoZone's seasonal traffic would increase along with that as well. And I don't mean traffic, actual circulation traffic, but traffic of cars, number of cars coming in. So that would be, I guess, a question for Director Corella. I don't know. We don't have any parking studies that are more recent than that?
Yeah, if you read the parking studies, they do at build-out, and they project out in the future. All those numbers were in the traffic study, and they actually, in the traffic study, take other developments that are occurring in the area. So, Vice Chair McPhail, the numbers, the ITE that we all use is considered our Bible. It's the only way you can get those statistics. Auto parts store do consider the delivery aspects because every auto parts store, like I state, and they stated, delivers to retail customers, because retail, like I said, the gas stations don't carry an inventory. Your oil change place doesn't carry the inventory. Regardless of that, we're discounting the fact that they're contributing to a traffic signal that is vital for the area, because Jones Road and Cree Road are grossly underutilized collectors. They're both considered commercial collectors or regional collectors so that we can get more vehicles using those and offset that entrance at the main plaza entrance. So we're looking forward to vehicles coming through and having a protected left and utilizing Cree Road, and then also using Jones Road to access the shopping center, which is grossly underutilized right now.
So the light at Cree Road and East Palm Canyon could potentially, the idea would be to maybe relieve the central entrance into the shopping center, but it would also increase traffic on Cree Road and Jones Road to get into the back of the shopping
Correct,
center.
and just to be 100% transparent, that intersection is being developed as a four-way intersection to develop commercial on the south side of East Palm Canyon as well. So it'll relieve and get us back to level C or D, which is the normal acceptable levels in the city for traffic signals.
I don't want to get too far into the weeds and.
Well, I think we are in the weeds
Yeah,
because
well-
I spent a lot of time in university studying this,
Yeah,
and
but,
some
but
of it's.
You bring up Cree, but that was also brought up in a lot of the comments, and we've said that that's really an engineering issue, but there was a comment that Cree has become a rat run to avoid the light at Gulf. So if we've already got a lot of traffic on Cree, I don't see that helping with the plaza. Or are we going to somehow stop that traffic going through Cree to
The
get
reason
onto Gulf?
Cree is underutilized is you don't have a protected left turn out of there. So with a protected left turn, you'll find that more people will probably use that entrance and exit.
And I think the concern was that there's already too much traffic going through Cree and then diverting onto Jones Road.
There's, on collectors.
I'm speaking to the public
Collectors,
comments.
you can have up to 7,500 cars a day, and that's just a two-lane road.
Okay.
Commissioner Gregory, did you have any comments?
I'm quiet, aren't I?
Just don't want to skip over you.
I'm learning a lot. I think with the potential condition of use of preventing AutoZone to AutoZone swaps as far as like parts go and whatnot, I think if we put something down for a conditional use for that to be prevented, I think that would ease my mind as it relates to just lessening the burden on that area with vehicles in mind, how many vehicles are on the road. That seems to be a big concern of people out here, the amount of vehicles that are going to be bogging down the streets nearby. And I think with proposed potential upgrades to roads and other potential intersections, that eases my mind for the most part, as well as that's about it. Yeah, no, that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Regarding the traffic improvements, would the traffic improvements be complete before the store opens?
The widening potentially the widening should be done and completed. I would anticipate the store and the signal arriving same time. Right now, traffic signals, we have a lot of them in order, taking 18 weeks to just deliver the material. So the intersection will be set up and ready to go, waiting for the signal. So in the short time that they're in there could possibly be some congestion, but realize that it can function without the traffic signal as well.
I just had one final thing that I kind of wanted to ask staff about. If we heard from any other local independent automotive businesses in the area in relation to this in terms of comment or outreach?
If I can interject, I'm not sure if I'm still audible, but.
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. I did not receive any comments from other automotive uses in the Coachella Valley regarding this project.
Okay. I was just wondering if there's, there was a period of time where Barnes & Noble, when they first came on the scene, all the independent bookstores went out of business because you had Barnes and Noble and they had everything. So I guess I just had a minor concern about, we do have a lot of independent auto retail stores. Is there a concern that this could impact that?
So if I could summarize what we've talked
Would you
about
like to
so
make a motion?
I may, but
Okay.
I want to check here. We've talked about actually 5 different conditions. Adding a condition regarding the installation of the crosswalk between AutoZone and Target.
May I interject on that one, Commissioner Lee, just to straighten it out? Wordsmithing in my business is real critical. You're saying crosswalk. Usually you do not see a full-fledged crosswalk in a parking area. If you change that to accessible crossing, I can really work with that better without having the physical crosswalk bars in there.
Well, I have a question, because I thought there was a request for an actual crosswalk to cross over Jones Road.
That's in a public street. That will be a marked crosswalk.
Okay, and that is already in the project, correct? That was
That
already a
will-
condition? Or
That's
part of
actually,
it?
yes, I've actually
That was
seen the
accepted?
plans, yes.
Okay,
That
great.
was in
So
your
we're just
conditions.
talking about the crossing space between the front of the AutoZone and Target?
And to
Yes,
be
okay.
transparent,
Got it.
they've already put a ramp on the plans. We will have a stop sign and a stop bar, not a crosswalk. And then in the other direction, we'll have a stop sign and a caution that pedestrian crossing, but not the physical striping of a crosswalk.
Okay. So that was 1. 2 was delivery, controlling the delivery
Outbound delivery hours.
hours for loading the delivery vehicles. Number 3 was no distribution to other stores. 4 was using 36-box shade trees where practical. And number 5 was increased stone band to be visible above parked cars. Were there any other things that we hadn't talked about?
I thought there was, for the coloring, for the banding around the building, was that?
Increasing the band or, yeah.
Accepting those 2 ARC recommendations,
Yeah.
essentially.
And perhaps we could do that. In terms of drafting, can we simply say that we accept the recommendations from ARC?
Do we have to list them out?
That would be appropriate, and we also have the amendments that were stated in the presentation, correct?
Right.
Yes, I do have all the official record down for you all.
Would you like to, since you've got the list in front of you, make a?
Can't give up the chair, right?
This is
He's got it
normally-
written down very cleanly.
Yeah. Could, Dom, can you give me back the slide for the
The recommendation.
yeah, the recommendation, thank you.
Yes. Let me just get
Or
my
it's on your screen
share.
if you expand
Oh,
3A.
okay.
If you click on it, it'll expand and you get the text.
Coming back. Look.
There you go.
Right. Okay. So I would make a motion that we find the project exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act in accordance with Class 32 Infill Development Project Categorical Exemption and approve the conditional use permit 25-0008 for the proposed AutoZone Mega Hub, subject to the attached conditions of approval as amended in this presentation and as amended in this discussion, and based on the findings contained in the staff report, adding the following conditions. Condition 1 to be added, an accessible crossing must be provided between the AutoZone and Target properties between the southeast corner of AutoZone and the southwest corner of Target. Number 2, adding to 317, the condition 317, an additional sentence at the end, all outbound deliveries shall leave the premises during the same hours. Number 3, a condition saying that no distributions can occur to other stores from the AutoZone store. Number 4, that 36-inch box shade trees should be used where practical. Number 5, increase the stone and, no, we're going to do that one by saying all the, So the scrub number 4, so number 4 is to include all recommendations from the ARC meeting from June, I forget, whatever the date was. July.
July 1st.
Thank you. Okay, that's the end of the motion.
I will second the motion.
Okay.
Can
we
I
have-
make,
One
can I
second,
make an
real
amendment?
quickly.
I'm sorry, I believe that ARC meeting, that architectural review meeting was actually June 18th.
Ah, yeah.
Oh, my apologies.
Okay.
So now that we have,
17th, I'm sorry, Cynthia, it was on the 17th of June.
Thank you.
we'll get it.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Lee and a second by Chair Mead.
Do we have any discussion on the motion?
I have nothing.
I'm good.
Anyone else?
I think we've added as many conditions and constraints as we possibly can. I'm still not thrilled, but I will accept it.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go ahead and open this vote. Please vote. And motion carries, all ayes.
Okay. That brings us to the end of the public hearing items, so that brings us to commissioner comments. I just wanted to welcome our new Commissioner Gregory. I think he's going to bring a lot to the table. I mentioned to him recently that I try to go out to project sites, or if I can't make it out there, at least look at the street view of the project site, and he mentioned that he can almost conjure up in his head every site in the city because he's lived here his whole life. And I thought that was great, and I think he will be a welcome addition with great historical and firsthand knowledge of the city. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
That's all for me.
I just second that and welcome aboard.
Okay. And I'd, first of all, let me also welcome our new director to his first meeting.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
It's both of our first meetings, yeah.
Yes, yes, Commissioner
I'm
Gregory.
hoping you're not going to run away and be a city manager somewhere.
Oh, well, I'm on video, but I can 99.9% say no.
And also, welcome to the new positions for our chair and vice chair. So I hope you have fun with this new role that you have here.
I would like to also thank you for doing a great job as chair in
Yes.
the past
seconded.
year, so.
All right, we've all patted
Anything
ourselves on the
else?
back.
Well, congratulate each other, no? Anything else? Okay.
Yes, we want to thank Christina for being the most amazing city
Absolutely.
clerk.
Thank
you. She always keeps us in
She
line.
always is, yes. And thank you for addressing our technical issues so quickly.
Yes.
Before I think I even noticed that it had happened, so. Do we have, did you?
No, I was just going to say, yeah, you run a tight ship.
Do we have any city attorney comments?
No, just next is adjournment, I suppose.
Okay, do we have any staff comments?
Go ahead.
I have none at this time. There is no development code update this evening. No news. No news can be good news, I guess. But watch your inboxes.
Do we know when the two unfinished pieces will be coming our way?
I'm glad you brought that up. I guess I did have a comment. So last week, I actually was in on the kickoff meeting with the selected contractor, GHD, to do the landscape and shade, the enhanced landscape and shade sections of the development code update. They're looking at a 5-week timeframe on that, so I'm expecting probably 6 weeks I'll have something to look at and pass on.
Okay. Anything else?
And if I just may, again,
Yeah.
thank all of you. I really appreciate getting the opportunity to know you in our conversations. I greatly appreciate the volunteer work that you do for this city as a new staff member and also as a new resident of Cathedral City. That means a lot to me. So I get to see it from both sides, from both my side of being a resident and also as being the Director of Community and Economic Development. My hope moving forward is that what you saw today in partnership with other city departments is that we provide you with the objective, solid recommendations for future for your deliberations. And I'm really proud of the work that I've seen today from city planning staff and all department staff, and that will be our MO moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I will adjourn the meeting then. The meeting is now adjourned.